There are two kinds of people in the world. Those who say, there are two kinds of people in the world. Those who say there are two kinds of people in the world, and the other kind. And there's who don't say. Well, then there's
Sid.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We sift through stacks of sources, really, to pull out the most fascinating bits of knowledge just for you. Today, we're diving into a really intriguing set of connections, all centered around a name you might not expect. Sid.
Yeah, it's quite a thread.
Our mission here is to sort of untangle these captivating links between several pretty prominent people named Sid. We've got comedy legends who basically invented TV sketch comedy, right through to these, well, avant-garde performance artists who are just really hard to pin down. We want to explore how their Jewish heritage, their unique art, didn't just shape them personally, but really impacted the culture around them.
It's a truly rich tapestry, and often quite surprising. These different Sids, they really give us a powerful lens to look at, cultural impact, resilience, and just the sheer force of embracing who you are through your art. But basically, we want to give you a shortcut to understanding what they brought to the table and hopefully spark some new ways of thinking about how identity and creativity, well, they really defined each other sometimes.
Okay, let's jump right in then. And maybe the best place to start to show that unique identity thing is Sid Yiddish.
Oh, definitely.
This is someone who just, defies categories. He's a poet, a throat singer, performer, actor, radio broadcaster, even a tap dancer.
It's quite the list.
And he has this absolutely wonderful, almost daddiest way of describing himself.
Yeah.
He calls himself a semi-sweet, kosher, industrial poet, throat-singing, radio broadcasting, Furby spy.
I chuckle, that's something. You wouldn't forget that.
Right, quite the business card.
And what jumps out immediately with Sid Yiddish is how deliberate that stage name is. Sid Yiddish. He calls it a conscious and funnier play on Sid Vicious from the Sex Pistols.
Ah.
Which straight away sets up this really interesting contrast in their punk approaches.
Right, because Vicious was notorious.
Exactly. To get that contrast, we should probably touch on Sid Vicious quickly.
Yeah.
Bassist for the Sex Pistols, loads of controversy, famously wrote that incredibly tactless song, Belson Was a Gas.
Yeah, about the concentration camp.
And he often wore swastikas, very provocatively. Now, sources tend to say it was probably more provocative, insensitive, and immature than genuinely Jew-hating, but still
deeply offensive, yeah, no question.
Absolutely. But here's where it gets, complicated. Vicious had some really unexpected Jewish connections.
Oh, like what?
Well, his manager, Malcolm McLaren, the guy often credited with kind of programming him with those anti-establishment ideas.
Yeah.
Jewish. His girlfriend, Nancy Spungen, came from a Jewish family, though apparently Vicious refused locks when he met her parents, so maybe more rebellion than embrace there.
Okay.
And if you dig a bit, two guitarists he played with, Keith Levine and Mick Jones, both Jewish.
Wow. So it's not just straightforward punk nihilism then, it's messier.
Much messier. Layers of provocation, maybe self-sabotage, mixed with these really interesting personal ties. And knowing that makes Sid Yiddish's very proud, very overt embrace of his Jewish identity feel even more powerful. Almost like a direct response to Vicious's whole offensive thing.
Absolutely, because when Yiddish performs, he often wears traditional things, right? Like a kittel, that white ceremonial robe, a prayer shawl, a yarmulke, and then in that classic Sid Yiddish way, he might top it off with a hat from a ludicrous video set.
Chuckles. It's that mix, isn't it? Sacred, traditional, and totally contemporary.
Yeah. And it's a powerful statement. He's apparently faced attempts to, cancel him for wearing what he calls his uniform.
And his response.
Just very direct. I'm proud of my heritage. Simple as that.
Good for him. And if you've seen him perform, you know he uses the shofar, the ram's horn.
Right. Powerfully.
Yeah, and he actually learned to play it properly. Uses circular breathing, breathing in through the nose while pushing air out.
Oh, yeah, that technique.
To get that really distinct resonant sound, like ancient meets modern performance art right there.
That choice to deliberately showcase his heritage like that, especially with the shofar, it really stands out when you think about Vicious's ambiguity or, offensiveness. It's like reclaiming an identity as art.
It's exactly a deliberate artistic statement.
But let's pivot a bit, because our Sids cover a lot of ground. From Sid Yiddish's avant-garde style, we find a different kind of conviction in another iconic Sid from a totally different world, Sid James.
Ah, Sid James.
Yes.
Instantly recognizable, that booming laugh, the core, blimey.
Totally.
But many people might not know his birth name was Solomon Joel Cohen. He came from a middle-class Jewish family in South Africa.
Right. Solomon Joel Cohen doesn't quite have the same ring for his characters, does it?
Rockles.
Maybe not. But that background wasn't just incidental. It seems to have really informed his values. There's this great anecdote, I think the source called it From Beyond the Grave. It shows how deeply he felt about certain things. James apparently had this profound hatred for, well, all things Nazi and what they stood for, and anti-Semites.
Okay.
So much so that on his way to film Hancock's Half Hour, huge show back then, he apparently got into it with a cab driver, an anti-Semitic black cab driver, and actually punched him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really? Sid James, the lovable rogue, the very same. Shows a fierce conviction behind the screen persona, doesn't it? Direct action.
It really does. So he wasn't just playing a part. And what a career, most famous, of course, for that Laugh-In Core Blimey, in, 19 Carry-On films?
19, yeah. He basically perfected that cheeky, maybe a bit lecherous, but ultimately harmless rogue character. British audiences loved him for it.
And beyond Carry On, he was all over British TV. Hancock's Half Hour, playing off Tony Hancock.
Great chemistry there.
And later his own sitcom, Bless This House, a real fixture.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, a bit complicated though, known as a big gambler, inveterate and largely unsuccessful, the sources say.
Chuckles. Yes, that's often mentioned.
And that very public affair with Barbara Windsor, his Carry On co-star.
Right, that was big news.
And then his death. Quite dramatic on stage, wasn't it? Heart attack at 62.
Yeah, during a play. Apparently, the audience thought it was part of the act at first.
Oh, gosh. A really theatrical end for someone who lived in the spotlight.
It really was.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that story about punching the cabbie, it makes you think about his characters differently.
How so?
Well, those lovable rogues and Carry On, they often had this kind of working-class resilience, didn't they? An underdog spirit.
Yeah.
Maybe that conviction, that identity, subtly fed into that.
Mm-hmm.
Gave it an authenticity audiences connected with, even if they didn't know the backstory.
That's interesting. So maybe his personal background gave those lighter roles a kind of grounding, even if people didn't consciously clock his Jewish heritage.
I think that's possible, yeah. It's often how identity works in art. It enriches it in ways that are felt, even if not explicitly spelled out. Qualities like resilience, wry humor, a sense of justice. They resonate universally, but can have deep roots in specific experiences.
Right.
And that idea of heritage profoundly shaping the work brings us perfectly to another Sid, a real giant of American comedy. Sid Caesar, an absolute comedic titan. And his impact on TV comedy is just undeniable and really rooted in his Jewish background. Son of working-class Jewish immigrants, Poland and Russia.
Oh, yeah.
And that upbringing, that vibrant, maybe challenging immigrant community, that was the fertile ground for your show of shows.
Which was huge, right? Live, 90 minutes.
Massive. Captivated something like 60 million people on Saturday nights. And it's widely seen as the prototype for basically every U.S. TV sketch show that came after.
Right.
Including, yes, SNL. It literally set the standard.
That's incredible, the blueprint. But you mentioned his Jewish-infused style. Can you unpack that a bit? How did that second-generation Jewish-American experience shape the comedy itself, not just, who he hired?
Yeah, it's totally central. One source said his genius was steeped in Jewish roots, that he saw the world through the lens of the second-generation Jewish-American experience.
Okay.
So it wasn't just jokes about bagels, right? It was a perspective. An observational humor may be born from being a bit of an outsider looking in, finding the absurdity in American life, that immigrant perspective, and that understanding of resilience through laughter.
That makes sense. A specific way of seeing. And he surrounded himself with just an unbelievable team, an all-star roster of almost all Jewish writers and comics.
It reads like a Hall of Fame list, doesn't it? Mel Brooks, Woody Allen, Neil Simon, Carl Reiner, Larry Gelbart. Just astonishing.
Truly. And Caesar himself had this great quote about Jewish humor. He said, Jews appreciate humor because in their life, it's not too funny. We've been trodden down for a long time. We might as well do it first.
Wow. That really packs a punch, doesn't it? Comedy is a survival tool, as agency.
Yeah.
And technically, he was brilliant. Impeccable timing, improv skills, and that amazing ability to mimic foreign languages.
Right. The foreign-sounding double talk.
Exactly. Mimicking the sound and rhythm without knowing the words. He apparently honed that listening to all the different people coming through his parents' luncheonette. He wasn't just mimicking. He was capturing the human experience of, language barriers.
That's fascinating. And he made quite a bold claim, too, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, get this. Sid Caesar claimed he was the first person to introduce the word chutzpah into the American vernacular.
Chutzpah. Really? If that's true.
Quite a legacy, right? On
Right.
top of everything else, linguistic influence.
That really underscores his impact, not just on comedy, but maybe even on the language itself. And thinking about Caesar's Jewish-infused style, how groundbreaking he was. It makes you look back at Sid Yiddish again.
Yeah.
Because in his own very different, very modern way, Yiddish takes that same kind of multidisciplinary spirit, that cultural commentary, but pushes it somewhere totally new, his own kind of chutzpah, maybe.
I think that's a great way to put it. Yiddish's performances are often called controlled chaos. He uses hand signals, audience games. Every show is different, interactive.
Like a living thing.
Exactly. And just look at some of the titles. Flight of the Satanic, Danish post-apocalyptic Jewish hillbilly sexist Jew Kellington, New York score.
Goals. Okay.
Or Where's Walgreens?
Very concise.
They really capture that avant-garde, but also playful energy. It kind of echoes that boundary-pushing spirit you saw in Caesar, and maybe even in the original punk thing Vicious represented, but through this completely unique filter.
Those titles alone are wild. But his story gets even more interesting internationally, right? He's got fans in surprising places.
Yeah, apparently quite a following in Denmark, of all places. A country he calls the happiest nation in the world.
And he collaborated with a Danish punk band.
Yeah, the Clean Boys. Recorded an album, Safari Freak Show Adventure, entirely over Skype.
Wow. Global reach for such a niche artist. That's impressive. And he ran for president.
Chuckles. He did. 2016. Got over 100 write-in votes. His platform involved buying everyone new shoes and handing out kosher bubblegum with good comics.
A platform for the people.
And, get this, he apparently got an endorsement from Roseanne Barr.
Okay, that's a combination. A truly unique political run.
It definitely stands out, reflects that playful but kind of earnest desire to connect. But apparently there's a real emotional core there, too, his relationship with his mother.
Yeah.
She became a poet at 72, which is amazing in itself. And she told him, "You're stronger than you know." He says that message really fueled him through tough times. That support is key.
That's lovely. A powerful anchor.
And another thing that's really revealing is how he documents everything. Since the 70s, cassettes, then video, apparently inspired by John Lennon saying, record everything.
He's just archiving his whole life in art.
Yeah, it shows this deep belief in the value of every moment, every creative spark. It's like a living history project.
That's real dedication. And speaking of performance, I heard something about his vocal range being unusual.
Chuckles. He certainly has one. Capable of incredibly high notes. There's a story from way back where his singing was so high-pitched it made dogs freak out and start peeing on the carpet.
Okay. Well, that's certainly a testament to vocal power, maybe not one for the official bio, but it really shows that commitment to pushing boundaries, doesn't it? From, affecting dogs with his voice to Skyping with Danish punk bands, Sid Yiddish really is this unique mix of heritage, performance, and just pure creativity.
Definitely.
So, what a journey through these Sids. Sid Yiddish, Sid James, Sid Caesar. Each one so different, but all contributing so much to arts, comedy, culture, and often weaving their Jewish identity into their work in these really powerful, sometimes surprising ways.
Yeah, exactly. You've got Sid James basically punching anti-Semitism while creating these beloved characters. Sid Caesar revolutionizing TV comedy, maybe even changing the language with his Jewish-infused style. Sid Yiddish taking punk energy and making it profoundly Jewish performance art that connects globally. It just shows the incredible range of ways people carve out their space, how they leave their mark. It's about expression, resilience, and how identity really shapes art.
So as you listening think about these incredible interconnected stories, maybe consider this for yourself. How do you navigate your own mix of influences, your own identity, in this sort of creative chaos of the world? What are the threads connecting your past to what you do now? Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the fascinating world of the Sids. We really hope you found it as captivating as we did.